the opportunity, and looking forward to talking with everyone more in the coming weeks. Obviously, I'll be sending out a note to all the coaches about a meeting that we'll have coming up, hopefully before the end of the year, just to talk about some more things. But yeah, I'm just excited and just looking forward to what's next. So thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Adam. So other than the announcement of our interim DOC, I do want to just kind of, the purpose of this meeting, as stated in the email, is I know that change is scary. It's scary for everyone involved. So we just want to try to alleviate concerns. I know that the future of the club, continuity, all those things are giant question marks in everybody's minds. And so we just want to really be here to reassure you of the priorities in place, both as a board and on the operations side of things with Adam representing that. So nothing changes for you. The teams, practice schedules, trainings, all of that is going to continue as planned. So completely moving forward, the number one goal is to minimize as much as possible impact to the players as well as the coaches. Obviously, we can't completely eliminate any impact to coaches because you guys are aware. You have to be made aware of the change. But for the players, it's going to be made as aware to them as we allow it. So I think, protecting them and just trying to make this as seamless of a transition for the players that we can do. And we can only achieve that by working together as a team. And so that's absolute priority message number one. The other elephant in the room I want to address is this was isolated to one individual. So I know there's probably some fear and anxiety as to whether or not, am I next? No other positions are at risk. This is not, it's definitely not what this is. So you guys are all, again, everything moves forward as it was. Nothing changes. To kind of get to the culture portion of this, I really want to start off before I get to the next two things that I wanted to highlight. I know some of you on this call don't even know who I am. You don't know who Garret is. You don't know who Evan is. Some of you I know, some of you I don't. And we want to change that. I want you guys to know who we are. So Garret, Evan, and I think Evan can. I know he's driving, but hopefully he can, even if he can't come off camera, hopefully he can talk. We just want you to know who we are. So I'm going to start. My name is Angie Podesta. I've played here since he was 10. I'm in girls program. So I now have 3 children playing in this club. So that's a little bit more about me. Garret, if you want to introduce yourself.
Well, dude, my name's Garret Fiorenza. I was elected this year, so I'm new to the board. I've only been a board member for about a month and a half, and I was selected to be the treasurer of the board. But a little history of me, I started playing at Center Grove Soccer Club in, I think, 93, maybe 94, when I was 5 or maybe 6 years old, and played here all the way through high school, and then obviously stopped in college. And then after college, started playing with a lot of the people that we all know indoor-wise. My daughter, Riley, is 2018, so she's in Academy Juniors. And we have a 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old, that is incredibly excited to start the rec program this spring. She's hates sitting at practice and just watching her older sister, so she's looking to get out there and start kicking the ball. So anyway, so that starts this spring. But that's a little bit about me.
Evan, are you able to, I don't know, with driving, I don't want to put you in a dangerous situation. If he can't speak up, we'll just send a little bio out about him so you guys get to know him. Or I don't know if Garret, you want to give a little spiel since you know him well, that'd be great too.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. I think I just got it. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry I'm not on video. Yeah, I'm on I-65 and a little bit of traffic, but a quick bio. I'm also very new to the board and just learning how it's structured and what our roles and responsibilities are. I'm a lifelong SCSA guy. I've played there all through growing up in the club, and then through high school. I played a little bit at Anderson University, but nothing spectacular. And I've currently got an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old that play in travel and academy under Coach Corbin and Coach Nick, and Coach Paulo is the coach of my daughter's team. So I love the club. I think the next year is going to be one of the most exciting years the club's ever seen. And it's because of the coaching staff that we have. We have great coaches, and Angie touched on this a little bit, but I want to be one of the guys on the board that gets to know you all. I really have only had contact with the coaches that have coached my kids, and I'd love for that to change, get to know each of you. So I'll probably be reaching out or trying to maybe just introduce myself to you guys in person when I see someone across the field that I recognize as wearing all black and or whistle, and just introduce myself to you guys. But I'm very excited to be a part of this whole thing, and I want to be available to you if you need anything. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Evan. And then, bottom line of this is that we want each of you to truly know the whole purpose of this meeting was to let you guys know that we are not just some random people. We just wanted you to know, like, we're people here. We are deeply connected to the club, and we care. We care about you as coaches. We care about the players. We care about all the staff. And the continuity of all that with you guys and the players is our absolute number one priority. We have a completely open door. We want to be somewhere. We want to be people that you guys can talk to. We want to work together. We want to create and cultivate a culture of teamwork and cohesiveness across the board as an entire club. And I want the future of this club I want every single person on this call that has ever worked for this club to feel like they had a hand in that. And that's only going to come from cohesiveness, working together, communicating, and truly being on a path forward for this being the best it can be. So that's pretty much the gist of what we wanted to say, and just hopefully you guys can get to know us a little bit better. And at this time, I know I said that we would help out answer any questions that you have. I am going to give a disclaimer in the beginning of this with regard to questions. We absolutely cannot answer any questions about the specifics of what happened. We've consulted attorneys, and this is more than anything out of respect for parties involved. So you can ask a question, but we're not going to be able to answer it. And it's truly because we can't. So, but any questions that you guys have about the future, some of these, I'm sure Adam would be the great person to answer on that as well. But if you guys have any questions, we'd love to hear from you.
I first want to make sure, just I guess for everybody's sake, want to ask and make sure that in this space, obviously we're glad it's being recorded, but want to know that any questions, concerns, or things we have to say, we have the freedom without obviously consequence or any sort of repercussion to speak freely in these moments, obviously with everything going on and how it's very fresh for all of us and lots of questions. Want to make sure that everybody understands that in terms of what's expected.
Yeah, Myron, you're free to ask what you want. The only thing that I would hope that you would know or anybody else would know is there is a level of respect. So there's no consequences. We're not going to hold anything over anybody's head that has concerns or confusions or frustrations. But if it's
that's what I was referring to. I wasn't referring to anything.
But I know you guys know that, so
wasn't referring to anything disrespectful.
Feel free, ask away.
Saying that, so that was, you make the point there, and I wasn't referring to anything disrespectful. Just want to make sure. Obviously, there's a lot of confusion and not knowing of certain things, like Angie, you mentioned. Just want to make sure, not in any disrespectful way, but want to make sure that everybody has that ability and is free to do that. So.
And if anybody has any questions that they don't feel comfortable asking in this group, I completely understand that. Obviously, it's recorded. We have a completely open door. You can reach out to any of us directly. You can call us. Our contact information is out there. So I mean, I've already had some conversations with some of you. Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate it. You know, anything at all. So if anybody doesn't feel comfortable on here, it's completely fine. I understand. Don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Evan, Garrett, all of us, Adam, you know, whoever.
I have a question. Because I was talking about maybe moving up, like out, because my name is Garret Wayne. I coach in the academy, and I was kind of in talks about after this upcoming season of maybe moving out of the academy to be coach in an older league. Would that go towards Trotter with the transition right now since he's the interim, or
Correct.
how
So
should
yep, all operational and coaching, player decisions, all that still stays on the operational side of things. So that will all fall under Adam's bucket. Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Hi guys, I have a question. I'm Luis. I'm one of the coaches, but also I was responsible for the social media. I heard you guys say there wouldn't be any changes, but I got logged out of the social media. Is there a reason why?
Oh, yes, we'll handle that offline. Yeah, you'll have access. Yeah, we'll get in touch with you that right. Yeah, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We'll be in touch with you to handle that. Yep.
Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Corbin. Is this going to affect Alliance at all, or how would that be going?
Yeah, so those are discussions that still need to happen. I don't know yet. I mean, obviously we're 24 hours removed from, less than 24 hours removed from it. So those are conversations that, you know, Adam will obviously be involved in. I mean, I don't know if Adam, if you want to speak to that. I mean, you know, as we said, you know, there's no changes, nothing changes in the immediate. So, you know, anything that's happening for the spring season in that, definitely no changes. Obviously with new leadership, I can't speak to what's going to happen beyond that. But those are probably conversations that will be had. But for now, nothing changes. I don't know, Adam, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from what I understand with the immediacy, like the teams that are going down to Arizona in January are still going to January or going to Arizona, and those games are still happening with those coaches, and that spring season will finish out so that there's no, like she said, there's no immediate effect to Alliance for the spring season.
Along those lines, I have a question because there are a lot of people that are at the club and a part of the club and have been a part of the club for a long time, including coaches that are affiliated and work with and benefit from the Alliance. Just for transparency's sake, in terms of the board, which I believe is now a board of 3, how are your thoughts and feelings around Alliance so that we as coaches and people know and have some sort of communication or idea of what to expect as we go forward?
I don't know that's something we can fully answer right now. You know, speaking as myself, I think it's something that needs to be reevaluated and looked at, but I don't know what that means. So like I said, these are discussions that are going to happen. I mean, it is a topic of conversation, but I don't think any of us can hold a crystal ball and tell you exactly what that's going to mean or what that's going to look like. So, you know, all I can say is, you know, that these decisions are never made, you know, independently. And so I would say when those discussions start to happen, they will likely happen at open board meetings that anyone is more than welcome to attend and speak on, you know, share your opinions. I mean, we represent the members and we fight for you guys. So, you know, I'm not going to say anything fully, but what I can say is any decisions that are made are going to be made in the best interest of the future and the club and the players. And, but I don't know. We really can't speak to that other than in the interest of transparency and letting you know that it will be a topic of conversation. I just don't know what that's going to mean.
So just so I'm clear, when I ask how you guys specifically feel about it as a board, you say you cannot answer that.
Well, I can tell you how I feel. And like I said, I think it's something that needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you. We discussed this at the board meeting that was last night, and
we were just wanting to define what Alliance is and what SCSA is, and how those two are connected and or not connected. And as far as the legal terms are concerned, they are two separate entities. And so that's what we discussed at the meeting last night, just to make sure that from a legal perspective, we're treating them as two separate entities. Now, what that means moving forward and all of that stuff,
we didn't get into. It was just a pure matter of really legalities, and that was it. So.
Myron, in full disclosure, it's a tough question to answer because we have questions. And so it's hard to, give a full 100% opinion until discussions happen, if that makes sense.
Again, I apologize. I do have questions, but I want to make sure, and I know you've obviously stated and it's been heard and understood in terms of you guys not able to answer questions, but I do feel it's important because I think I can speak for at least some of us that are in a position of a bit of confusion in terms of where we're at and what's going on, especially with a colleague that a lot of us have had for a while. Is Matt's dismissal, was there included, was this an accusation of theft or where funds were being spent? Because you made it clear in the email that it was something financial. So we just want to know.
We cannot get into specifics. We can't.
Besides for what we mentioned in our email, which is that he was found contract, and that breach was both financial and operational.
In terms of the financial side of it, I guess one of my questions is where this decision, the timing of it, obviously a little interesting, but at the same time, there were, if I'm not mistaken, our president now was our treasurer before, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Matt had no access to write checks or a club card, so the funds were being given and approved, and just want to make sure we know how that process works and why this decision at this time was made, because obviously this is a big part of our club and a big decision being made. And I think for us, the transparency is important as employees and people who want to, who are working for the club and want to know and obviously have a relationship not only with everyone here, but with Matt, and knowing exactly what's going on, feel like it's important that we have a clue of how operations work, because if that's the case, there were people in place that would have had the information and not done anything until this interesting moment now to do this, if there were such egregious things being done. And I would just like to know.
If I can ask a follow-up real quick, what is interesting about it?
The timing of it in terms of a board change at that moment and then things going on. It's just interesting. I'm not saying anything other than that, but these are things that are not exclusive.
I'm just asking, you've said the word.
If you don't mind, I'll finish if you don't mind. These aren't things that are specific to a certain moment, from what we understand, unless you want to tell us otherwise, that these happened in the last 2 months. But these are things that we assume happened over time under the purview of the previous board, treasury, and people that were there. And this is now a moment that it's been done, and we just want to make sure that we understand how that works, because the previous board and the people in those positions in mind obviously either had oversight or didn't make it known until now. So we just want to know.
I can tell you that there were what are called SOPs that were not followed, and those SOPs were made to create gray areas where people could get paid for certain things or access financial information that was not privy to them. This doesn't pertain to anything specific, so I think I'm okay with saying this. And at our board meeting last night, me as treasurer fixed all those things. So now I am looking at every single expense that the club has, and there is a pre-approval process for every expense, large and small.
So in
And
that
so that
sense,
was-
and I appreciate that information. What happens with the oversight from before, and why is it something that is being dealt with in terms of a termination of someone who did not have the ability to either write a check, access the funds, or any other way personally? So just curious, why now, and why? What about before and the people involved?
I can't speak to before. I can speak to what we found
Angie,
in the
can you?
last
Because if I'm not
weeks,
mistaken,
and
prior to being
and
president, you were
it
the
was
treasurer.
found to be. Let me finish if you don't mind.
Please do.
It was found that Matt was in breach of his contract. Now, whether that could have been found months ago or whether that could have been found years ago, I can't speak to that. But I can speak to what happened in the short time that I've been involved. And breaches of contract were found, and they were of a type that you can't ignore. And so we didn't ignore them. And I would hope that everyone understands that it was not something that I was thrilled to do as a new board member. But there are certain things that you have to do to maintain the integrity of an organization, especially an organization that's the size of ours. And it was something that just had to be done.
Were they ignored before?
I don't know.
I don't know.
What was that question, Myron?
I don't know if they were.
Just weren't.
I said, thank you. Angie,
Myron, I can
outgoing
answer some
treasurer
of that
and-
as,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, as a previous board member. A lot of it was, some of it was, I don't know how to say it. There were red flags, but I'm not an expert in the financial world I wasn't going to bring up or, I don't know how to say, quite frankly, I'm just completely ignorant in that space. And when the board positions are assigned, like when I was assigned treasurer, it was just kind of what I got assigned. It was what I had to be. I am not a financial expert. I don't have experience in that space. So, in looking into things, there were things that I didn't quite understand how they worked. The best that I can say is with Garret stepping into that treasurer role, he is much more educated on that. And so he was able to define some things a little bit more. So I don't think it wasn't, I think it was ignorance and oversight. And I understand, from your standpoint of, the way that it may look from a timing standpoint, but when different people with different skill sets step into different positions, it's kind of what happens. So,
And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the transparency there. I guess for me in general, and again, if anybody disagrees, please say so. But I guess it's really important for us to know whether these are funds that you feel are being taken, or funds that are money that you think has been spent or put in the wrong place.
I think that's, in my opinion, I don't know. I feel like that's getting a little bit too specific to what. I appreciate your question, and
specific is good for us because we're all in the dark and in a really important situation. And I know that you guys have limitations, and I appreciate that. But there's a group of people here in the Zoom and people that aren't, that this is really important to, and to not have any information, no clarity of things that obviously we're involved in because we're a part of this club, and whether it be money, funds, whatever it may be, is a part of us and are things that we've either generated or benefited from or things like that, and would like to know what it is that was going on with it, especially in regards to someone who we trust and someone who we believe and who we all know spent tens of thousands of his own money on the club. So it's really important to have that balance and clarity of what's going on with what's happening.
Myron, I think we spoke about this when we talked earlier today, and I reached the same limitation of I see your frustrations and I see your confusion, and I personally, I understand you wanting to know that stuff. And also personally, I wish I could tell you that stuff because it would shed a whole lot of light on that. But due to the confidentiality policies that are in place, and due to respect for the people involved, and no easy way to say it, but due to the legality of it, we just can't tell you that. And so what I would hope is that, I know you guys, especially you, Myron, had a very close relationship with Matt as our DOC and knew him for a long time, and know him personally and can trust him personally. My hope is that you can have the professional trust in a board of not one person and not two people, but multiple people who all looked at this and all agreed that this was a situation that violated a contract and was a breach of contract.
I believe some people do. I believe some people here probably do. But I can tell you that it's not everyone, and we're hoping that trust and things like that are things that can be built and understood. Obviously, it's with the transition. And in regards to the respect that you have mentioned, I think it's important that when we got the email, and what we assume is the email that was sent out to everyone, whoever, a lot of people who received it, even outside the club or saw it outside the club. And the reason why I asked my first initial question is because if there is a need to specify things like any financial improprieties or imply any financial improprieties, but not be able to disclose to even us or anyone any details, or it leaves everything up to assumption. And I don't think that's fair to the parties involved, that is there without any sort of understanding or ability to know any details. And I think unless you are going to tell us, or you are saying that he stole money, I don't think it's fair, because those are the assumptions that come from it, which isn't fair personally to anyone. And I think there are other ways to amend that email so that people aren't being given the wrong impression for someone who has been here for 20 years, and in the email, not even a thank you to them for their time and effort to the club, but only the assumption of financial improprieties, which could be broad, but I think is important for, again, the respect of the individuals involved, to have the ability to know, and for people to know if whether it was stolen money or this is something that is it, because I don't think it's fair to have that assumption out there that way without any clarity.
I don't know how to answer that question. All I know is to tell you that when we spoke earlier today, I told you that I would reach back out to our attorney to see what, if anything, we could disclose. And he was very black and white and said, you have disclosed all that you can, and you just have to leave it at that.
So did you feel it necessary to disclose the financial part? You can go back and forth
as much as you want and say how frustrating it is, and I get it. I'm telling you, I get it. But there's nothing else that we as a board can say. So you can talk about assumptions and you can make your own assumptions, but that's all we could have shared. There is something you can do.
You can amend the email so that it doesn't imply those things and gives proper thanks to people involved, including people like Jeff Purdy and Eric Nugent, who have given tens of thousands of dollars in their time to the club without a thank you at all either. I think these
Myron, he was thanked in an email after the board election, I believe, wasn't he?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like if that is the case in this situation, and not being able to say and putting the email in the tone and tenor in which you did to open those, it's easily able to amend that email so that people understand the thanks and importance of what someone who's run the club to a great point at this stage for 20 years to this time.
Myron, I will respond to that, and I will own that. In full honesty, and again, openness and transparency, I've never been a part of anything like this before, and I can't claim that every single thing was handled perfectly. And this was an absolute whirlwind, and this was extremely difficult. And I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just being very open that there were probably things that I missed. And I hear you, and you are exactly correct. And in the conversations I've had with the coaches, I've been trying to make it very clear that this does not take away from all the good that Matt did. when he was with this club. And there's a lot to appreciate from the good that he did. And I sincerely apologize for leaving that out of the email that was sent. But that's on me. That's on me. I'm the one who was working on composing the communication, and it was not easy, and I do apologize for that.
I appreciate that, Angie, and the transparency. And it wasn't about a wrong as much as it was the question of being able to amend something so that the people and the public and the people that are getting this know that, as opposed to what they got. And it wasn't a matter of, in terms of the conversation there with Garret, in terms of arrogance and the way we're doing this, it is literally just a matter of how it's represented to our membership. And if I'm completely off and there was a crime committed and there was money taken, it is what it is. But if there isn't, I think it's important that we generalize it to a place that we can and tell everyone that there is a change in leadership. The board has made a decision, and thank you, Matt, for what you've done, and leave it at that. It felt very pointed to be able to put those things in the email, but then at the same time, not be willing or able to expand on those things when people are going to have questions, knowing that.
And I hear,
leave it up to them.
I do hear that. And guys, I want to sincerely apologize. In order to record this meeting, we had to do a Zoom meeting, and the only way we could get it without paying for it, it's a 40-minute meeting. So there's 2.5 minutes left. I don't want you to think we're trying to cut you guys off. I would be more than happy to set up another meeting for anyone who would want to set up another meeting to continue to answer questions. But Myron, to address, what you just said, I don't think there was a perfect way to do it. And I think that any way we did it would have created questions and speculation in terms of the communication. And I would say that I think that the part that I definitely own and could have done better is including a thank you for the things that he did do, because this doesn't take away from that. So
I appreciate you saying that, and I just wanted to make sure that was known. And I apologize to everyone who had questions for taking time. I didn't realize we were on a time limit.
And I apologize. I honestly didn't. And I can immediately reschedule another one, and we can all jump back on if everybody wants that. I mean, we want to give you the time that you invite. Let me see if we can figure out a way.
I have
a question too.
Yeah, sorry, Carl.
Corbin,
mine real quick
is
are any coaches' contracts going to be like redone or anything because of the finances and all that stuff?
In the immediate, again, that's going to be largely a DOC thing. But I would imagine not in the immediate.
I can tell you as a board, we were not planning on changing anyone's contract.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Carl.
So it sounded like you guys have an attorney involved in all of this. And so kind of just jumping off of Myron's thing, I do also find it questionable, the language in the initial email that was sent out. I've had families from Cutters reach out to me about, their assumptions that Matt was stealing money. So it was kind of like an implied.
I was diligently trying to figure that out. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hopefully people see it.
Yep.
I don't know if you have any kind of text
Wait.
shoot a text to anybody to let them know. We have 15, all right.
Let me make sure everyone got on.
So I think when we got cut off, Carl was kind of in the middle of a statement and question. So, Carl, the floor is yours if you want to.
Yeah, so it sounds like you do have an attorney involved to address some of these questions. And so one of my concerns is just like the wording on that initial email, just kind of piggybacking off Myron. I have had families from Cutters reach out to me because they've heard the news, and from their point of view, it definitely was implied that there was some type of financial like stealing of funds, right? But from your statement, it kind of sounds as if it was more procedural and operational red flags, as you called it. So I guess my thing that I'm trying to get to is, if this has been the past procedure, if we've been operating under these types of operational procedures for how many years, when this kind of came to light, you felt like it was a better course of action to fire him for a breach of contract rather than discussing some of this or renegotiating a contract. I mean, I feel like Matt's an asset to soccer in Indiana. And, I'd rather have him as part of the club than necessarily just like firing him, breach of contract. I feel like this is something that, at least should have been approached to potentially work out or discussed, especially like when this decision solely lies in, 3 people, 2 being like brand new to the board. So question is like, why fire rather than trying to transparency of working it out?
I can speak to that a little bit. So Matt's contract was put in place July 1st of this year. And so I have no knowledge of his previous contracts. I don't know if it was the exact same contract or a different contract. I just know that the contract that started in July, he was found in breach of. And so it wasn't a years long investigation of past contracts and if things were brushed under the rug in years past. It was this started July 1st.
It's something that you he knowingly, you assume that he knowingly knew that he was in breach of contract of this.
I don't assume anything. I just know that he was in breach of contract. Whether he knew he was or knew or didn't doesn't really play a part in the decision.
Well, I think that's where my
contract in place, and if he was found to be in breach of contract in both financial and operational areas, there was.
I think
really
that's
no
where I
option.
have a little issue. Is like, if unknowingly, you would think that would be something that would be, hey, FYI, these are some procedurals and operational issues that haven't been followed. You need to make sure that you rein this in, right? Especially when we're talking about an asset that's as valuable as Matt Wilhoit.
And I guess for piggyback on Carl, so whether you're obligated or not, is it safe for us to assume that you guys felt zero thought or respect to have a conversation with him about what's going on? Because if I'm incorrect, please tell me. But even up to now, these details and the reasoning and the details and specifics of what happened haven't even been discussed with him or told to him. Is that correct? Because it seems like whether you're obliged or not, this is a conversation of someone 20 plus years who has led this club would be afforded in this moment. But maybe I'm wrong. And if I am, floor is yours. I'd love to hear.
No, you're not wrong. We're working on a follow-up communication with him. I don't know if everybody knows this, but he's currently out of town. So is a little bit more tricky. This would have been a lot easier if he was just sitting across the table, because we could have gotten a lot more information out and communicated a lot better, but that's just what it is. So, but we have follow-up communication that we're working on to him specifically, that goes into a little bit more detail.
And there was a phone call, correct? He did receive a phone call?
That's correct.
And no information was even given or thought to be given at that stage?
Information was given about our reasoning and what the board had voted on and decided.
That's a good question. That's what
I'm saying. That's what we discussed on the phone.
So he knows the breaches of contract, correct?
That's the follow-up communication that we're working on.
The follow-up after the firing. Okay. It was just
I did also have one other point of concern just from procedural stuff. And you may have looked into this or you may not have known. I just want to kind of bring it to your attention. You mentioned that Alliance and SCSA are separate entities. And while that is true, our players do have the opportunity to move from the Alliance back to their home originating club. And we've actually used players from Alliance rosters and moved them to club rosters like SCSA for like state President Cup type games. And so in regards to the removal of Jeff Purdy, I do want that to kind of be on your radar, that even though they are not technically the same, or they are different entities, our players were able to move and play with the club through the state organization.
That is correct. And also there is a connection because there are, whether some of us know it or not, our club, SCSA, received $300 for every player from Alliance from SCSA. So there is a direct connection, regardless of whether it's implied or someone believes it or not. There is a connection with both clubs, and it's something that is important to the clubs. But again, hopefully those discussions that happen within the board and Alliance are going to take place with the obvious factual information before any assumptions in terms of what the Alliance and SCSA connection.
Yeah, Myron, to your point, we don't talk about, I mean, we share our personal opinions, but when we make decisions, opinion gets smushed very quickly in favor of facts. And so you are correct. When we have discussions, it will revolve around facts.
I have a question in terms of the vision. Obviously, Evan, Garrett, you guys have not been a part of the board in the operational time during the seasons that we've had and are new to the board. And then obviously pretty big decision, but also being a part of a pretty big decision that affects the club. What is, and for our sake as coaches and people who are directly, daily working with families, players, and of the such, and each other, what is the vision that you guys have? And in terms of the decision that you made, we assume that there was a vision in place and a plan in place moving forward from that decision. And just curious as to if we can be updated on what the vision is for the club moving forward in terms of things like, obviously I already asked about Alliance, your ideas and thoughts around our facilities, turf field in particular, and our partnership with the 11, things that we've done and had and benefited from in different ways, and would be very interested for our sake to know what the vision is after this decision and moving forward.
That question specifically to me, since I'm new to the board, is that correct, Myron? I just want to make sure I'm the one answering it if it was.
Oh, just specific, yeah, in general,
okay.
Knowing that because you're new to the board and moving into this position with this decision and wanting to know what it was, being new to the board in terms of the vision that you guys had coming in, and with this decision in place, how that progresses.
I think my vision is very clear. It's immediate, consistent, and sustained improvement in every aspect of the club. And so in my position on the board, I can make votes and hopefully help with the direction of the club in general, but a lot of the actual soccer decisions come down to coaches and the DOC position. But my vision for the club is to have the best possible soccer that we can and the best possible facilities that we can and the best possible coaches and directors and board that we can. And so the vision is very simple and very clear, is immediate, consistent, and sustained improvement.
Those soccer decisions, are you planning to or decided to leave those to Adam and the director of coaching, or should we, and I know you and I spoke about this before, in terms of your platform that you ran on, in terms of what you thought of our training sessions, is that something that we should expect to be addressed, or do we need to worry about that in the short term?
No, myself personally and the board has no interest in being involved in practice sessions and things like that. That will fall under the directors and how they foresee coaches.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak into it a bit. I mean, I think our mission continues from, what's listed on our website is, providing a safe, fun, and competitive environment where kids can grow in their love for the game of soccer with an emphasis on community inclusion and player development. And so, me doing my best job to be at your guys' training sessions to see how I can best support you guys in helping you thrive as coaches and to, just continue that culture that's been set ahead of us and to continue on the great things that have been done and do what I can to bridge that gap to what's next for us as well. And I think it's, being a part of the community is also a big thing for the club as well. And to continue that on is one of our priorities as well. If that answers, you want me to expound upon that, Myron, or do you have any more questions for that?
No, Adam, I appreciate that. That is
Okay.
the philosophy in which we've had as a standard this whole time. So I appreciate that it would stay that way. And hopefully it's an opportunity to utilize these moments to grow. And that's what's important, because obviously, like you said, this club is about being inclusionary and transparent. And that's what we're hoping to continue at some point.
And I think it's been cool to see the partnerships with the city of Barkersville and to continue, to be a part of the community and integrate that into what we do as well. Has been cool to see and hope to continue, moving forward.
And since you say that, I guess what is your plans for the community, or the kind of extra outreach for the community? Because it was a big part of where we were in the past here, and moving forward, how does that stay the same? Because that was an important part of the leadership that we've had and was very beneficial to the club too. And just want to make sure that we all know as coaches how that progresses from where it is right now and has been, and what changes, or if any, would be made in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any immediate changes will be made. I think it's looking at what was done and then evaluating what's best for us moving forward, whether it's to continue on those partnerships or make any tweaks or changes or improvements with buy-in from those that can see things we don't see and hear things we don't hear, to help formulate a good plan moving forward for us as a club. So I think, it's on the table with what we have done, and then what can we see to be some things that we can do to progress as well.
Got it.
And I would expound upon, I don't think we don't look back with disdain for what's been done. I think we look back with fondness, and then we try to move those things forward that have been beneficial for us, and to continue on some great things that have already been set in place, and not to diminish those things at all. So I think that's important for us as we move forward.
Any other questions from anybody?
I do have one last question, very important. Communication. Speaking for myself and the people that I know, and people like myself who are directors, and the other directors who I don't know if they're all on here, but people who have been a very everyday part of the club for years and years in terms of communication and what the thought process or the decision-making process was in terms of communication at this stage and in the past day or so, because whether it's just me, but from what I've been told, it's not that there was little to no communication to us with this until this morning when Garret and I spoke, which was this morning. And I assume between the time we spoke this morning and then the early afternoon in which Adam, you and I spoke, there were a lot of decisions made, or a decision in particular made with Adam that we were not privy to, or that we were not included in as directors and people that have been in leadership positions at the club. And I know, in speaking to the other directors and the confusion, want to know what the decision making along the communication is, because if we are in this position and there's no communication given to us, if anybody, we're a little bit confused on how that is moving forward, knowing that we were in a position to, as leadership, and not given the communication necessary to move forward, that we feel was necessary to move forward in this situation with the changes that have happened.
I guess I need a little bit of clarification on what communication you felt like you needed that you didn't get.
Well, I can say that I think, and again, maybe this is just me personally, but I feel like with the decisions that were made in these moments and a change in leadership, that the directors of the club would have been informed in a way that allowed us to have either a say, a conversation, or anything involved with the progression of the club that we have directed and been a part of for countless years. And to not get that and know as much as a rec player in our rec program as directors didn't seem right at the time. And again, this is maybe just a personal speech of mine, but I can tell you that they feel very similar in this sense, that the communication was not given to us in any way that felt proper in terms of the roles and responsibilities in which we've taken on for the past, like I said, for me personally, 9 years at the club. And Adam Trotter, who I love to death and I think is unbelievable and do a great job, I do feel like on a personal level, not being included in those conversations in the role that me personally I was in, to be able to help and lead, because there's a part that in the role that I am in, was receiving and having to have conversations with a lot of people who expected that, and to not have any information, along with our other directors having no information, it set a bad tone and a question of how those conversations and communication would move forward.
Yeah. Oh,
Sorry, do you want to take it, Adam? Go ahead.
I mean, I can just, that's why I think as soon as a decision was finalized, that's why, I reached out to all the directors as soon as a decision was made, just out of respect for you guys and knowing I wanted to communicate that as soon as it was, done on my end. So then you guys were in the loop, so you weren't hearing firsthand on the Zoom call tonight. But how the process for the decision was made, I can't speak into that. But once the decision was done, that's where it was an immediacy, and it was agreed upon by the board. Like, hey, we think this is a good idea. Let's get ahead of this with the directors, so then they're all in, communication together with, in the loop of what's going on. But how it got to that, I can't, speak into that from that side of things. But I do know that was a desire by both the board and myself to get that information to you guys as soon as possible from my mouth, so you guys could, hear it from me firsthand.
Yeah, and Myron, as far as what happened before, we have to be really careful. The sensitivity of everything leads to, it's not like we're just reaching out and putting out an ad for hiring someone. Like that's what's going to happen for the permanent role. So I think the key word in this that we all have to remember is this is interim. This is something that needed to be as quickly as possibly appointed. And it was very, very, very important to the board that it was someone that would be trusted, competent, thorough, and be really a wonderful person that could smoothly transition. That doesn't necessarily mean that there was only one person. I mean, but at the end of the day, very fast decisions had to be made. And those decisions, this was a temporary transitional role to be appointed by the board that we had to do immediately. And so it doesn't afford us, even if it was something that we would want to reach out and get feedback on it, it just, for an interim role that needs immediate appointment, it's just not something that you're afforded the luxury to do. It's something you have to move quickly because, again, as we've said from the beginning, the most important part of this transition is smooth, seamless continuity for coaches and players. And the best way you do that is a very quick appointment of an interim DOC while you search for the right person for the permanent role.
Very clear, very concise. Appreciate it. Got all the information. Thank you.
Okay.
I have another thing to say, sorry. Kind of going based on what Myron says. I mean, you guys have to know how this looks from the outside, right? From just like, I haven't been involved in the club very long. And, here's new appointees, we're getting rid of board members, we're getting rid of the DOC, we're implementing an interim overnight. And I've been a part of a lot of a change at Cutters, lots of interim DOCs and conversations that, have taken weeks to find a good interim DOC, right? So it's not something that has to happen immediately. And it's super concerning that when you have all this information at your fingertips with all these directors with tens of years of experience that you wouldn't even consult them and making a decision like this within, again, like you said, less than 24 hours. So I'm not trying to say one thing bad or anything, but you have to see how this looks for your membership, right? Looking at this from the outside.
I understand what you're saying, but on the flip side of that, I would hope that there would be some appreciation of some immediacy for a temporary role. This is not the permanent role. We didn't rush out to put someone in permanently. And the whole point of this was to buy time to be extremely thorough in that process to make absolutely sure that we have the right person in place for the long term.
Well, just for instance, I don't think we have any programs going on until the beginning of January again. Again, Cutters has operated for an entire season without a DOC. Like these are things that have happened. And with this decision being solely in the hands of 3 people, it's just concerning.
And Angie, I just want to make sure I heard right. You're talking about that you felt that it was thorough, correct?
I'm sorry, that what was thorough?
That the process and the decision-making process as you went through.
I think with regard to what decision?
The decision, obviously, with our friend Adam and the decision process in terms of how we move forward in this short term.
I think that the goal is that for the permanent position, it is extremely thorough. And that's what we're trying to create the time and space to do that with an interim role.
It's hard to believe that extremely thorough within less than 24 hours is a factual.
No, you're
statement.
not understanding me, Carl. I'm saying that the number one priority in the appointment of an interim DOC was speed and continuity, so that we can take the time to be very thorough in appointing, or not appointing, but choosing or hiring the permanent role.
So a number one priority for you in the interim DOC was speed.
Because we have someone that.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think Trotter is a great choice, but I'm just concerned that with all the tools at your fingertips that you didn't even have questions with some of the directors within the club.
I guess I can.
It doesn't need a response, guys. It's just a statement.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for your statement.
If I can just jump in here, this is Harvard. In what has just been discussed, I do agree with what has happened with Adam, and I appreciate the fact that he reached out to me this afternoon as a director in the club, responsible throughout the year for 2,000 kids. The responsibilities that I have and where my position is in this club, I guess I'm a little concerned because, as Myron said, I wasn't reached out for any reason whatsoever and it's not that I have to be questioned. Do you think this is a good idea or a bad idea? That's not what I'm saying. But there was no discussion with any directors that I am aware of, because personally, I was not brought into any discussions about, we're getting ready to make this change. How does this look? How is this going to work? What are your thoughts? And the direction that I see things going right now needs to be a cautious direction, because we've seen what happened south of us in the fact that the board took over the club 8 years ago, and they're within 2 to 3 years of truly going out of business financially and in all other areas, because the decisions were made straight by the board without any consultation of the leadership of the day-to-day operations in the club. There was nothing. Angie, if you want to address that, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I want to first of all start by saying the board is not taking over the club. Operations will still be handling day to day. Where we're trying to be more involved, when I say open doors, we want to work together. And if you want me to share just my personal opinion on this, is in the 2 years that I was on the board, I felt extremely disconnected from the coaching staff. I tried really hard to be out there and at least develop relationships. I know Harvard, I hung around and tried to have conversations with you. The coaches on my kids' teams, I tried really hard to be engaged, to feel more connected, because I think anytime you're working at the end of the day, we're all SCSA. And I fully believe that operations should be handled by operations, and board decisions should be handled by the board. But I think at the end of the day, we have to have some cohesiveness and teamwork between us. As far as the nature of this decision, this was an extremely sensitive situation. We couldn't call everyone and say, hey, we're considering this. What do you think? It could not happen that way. The nature of the sensitivity of the reality of the situation, it could not happen that way. And I know that makes it extra hard. I know it makes it really hard to understand. I know that there was no way that we were going to perfectly go about this to remove any type of negative optics or assumptions or rumors. But at the end of the day, again, our number one goal is moving forward quickly with a trusted person in place to transition, while keeping operations on the operations side, and being cohesive in the process.
The
Okay.
operations, I guess my question, I'll follow up to Harvard. For operations, to say operations to go as normal, the people that are operating it feels very exclusionary to not have a conversation with the people who are on the day-to-day operations about the day-to-day operations after this decision. And for us to find out, the people who are there every day and having these operational decisions, to be bypassed in the decision making of how the operations are going to work now, seems very exclusionary.
I guess I just don't understand how it was bypassed, because at the end of the day, with the club structure, the board is responsible for appointing the for choosing and appointing a director of coaching. Like that's
how was that? I guess our question is, how was that decision made, and in what fashion, just for our own clarity?
We created a short list of candidates.
And you spoke to all those candidates, I assume, right?
We reached out to all of those candidates.
Okay.
And got feedback from those particular candidates, and then we made our decision.
And none of those were people who are in the operations of the club currently, right?
I don't think it would be fair to anybody involved to
So no,
answer
that's fine. That's all. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? We have about 6 minutes left in this meeting. We're wondering if we need to create a new link, or if anyone has any further concerns, if they want to speak with us directly.
I spoke with Adam earlier, and in speaking with him, I raised a question regarding the organizational tree. Is that something that is going to be worked on, coming up with? How will there be, again, going back to being directors of the major programs in the club, will we have input on any of this? That's the question I was asking earlier, Angie, is the fact that I wasn't concerned about, hey, we're not going to consult you to ask you whether we should do this or not. It would have been good for some of the major directors, myself, Myron, especially being the assistant DOC, to be able to get a heads up of, hey, this is where we're going. You can't ask us any questions. You can't say anything right now. But when it comes out, we need you guys to understand this is what's happening and what's going on, because we are last night, 7 o'clock, all of a sudden my phone was blowing up and I'm like, what is going on? And it's like, I can't answer you any questions because I have no idea. But in an organization, yes, the board is there. And that's why I said earlier, it almost feels like the board is taking over because, sorry, everybody else is out. We're making this. And I understand you make the decision about the DOC. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the leadership who are the main directors, there was no communication there. The organization tree, will there be communication, or no, you're just stuck here. This is where you're going to be. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah, I'll answer that. I hope, I don't know how much consolation it will be, but I hope, Harvard, that you can understand that what myself and what Angie and what Evan and now what Adam need in this time is just a little bit of grace. You can imagine how stressful of an evening last night was for the three of us board members. We went into a board meeting with 5 people and we left with 3, and that was not by our choice. And we had some important and stressful and really difficult topics to discuss, and we really did the best we could. And once decisions were made, we had to then go into, I wouldn't call it damage control mode, but there were certain things that you have to do whenever a major transition takes place. And we had to do those. And to be honest, we had a very quick scribbled down priorities list of what we should do. And calling all of the directors was on that list. And we got busy and we started doing all of the other things on the list. And 2.5 hours went by and we went home exhausted and fell asleep. And I'm telling you with all sincerity, we just did not even think about it. And I hope you can just at least trust me when I say that was the plan, to call each and every one of you last night. And then last night became a very stressful environment, as you can imagine. And it just didn't happen. So
as I told you this morning, Garrett, I think moving down the priority list away from calling us to let us know, I feel is a mistake. And that's just my opinion. You can say there were other things on the docket to deal with, but I feel like the conversation with the people that are directly involved with working with these kids in this club should have been at the top of that priority list, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I think it goes back, and to piggyback on that, I can speak for myself. I don't know about Evan and Garrett. I've never been involved in anything like this before. And there's no way to be perfect. There's no way to make it perfect for everybody. And, we can own that it wasn't handled perfectly and mistakes were made. But when I tell you that we tried really hard to do our due diligence as best we could in such a small window of time to work in. And, I will own that as well, that I don't disagree with you either, Myron. And again, I think it kind of goes back to the grace that we just asking for a little bit of that.
Can you guys hear me? I don't know if I'm on my phone. Sorry, I don't know if it's unmuted or not. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry. So you'll have to pardon my ignorance. I'm new to the club. I just came in the fall and everything. So were there, and if you can't say anything, that's fine, but were there originally 5 board members? I don't know how that worked. And now,
Yes.
because I heard when Garrett said there were 5 and then we walked out with 3, I'm like, okay. So there were 5. What did the other 2 not vote for, or how? Like, was it not unanimous?
Adam, are you sending out another link?
Yep, and it'll start at 6:30.
Okay.
Dude. So obviously it wasn't unanimous. Was it a 3-2? I take it.
The decision on the decision on
The
math.
DOC. Yeah.
I don't know if we're at liberty to say. Can we say that? I don't know if that's a board only matter. I can say that it was 3-0.
Okay. Is that because they what did they do? Like quit or just leave or not vote?
Yes, one member was found to be ineligible for the board and left, and the other member resigned and left.
Okay. And this, again, I'm not trying to probe or anything. I'm just ignorant. These are ignorant questions. But would that be could you not just table it and wait till you got 2 more board members and then revote, or is that
you can? So in a board, there's something called quorum, and it's defined in our bylaws. And so we still had quorum, which you have to have quorum to be able to vote on anything. And so we still did. So we still executed the meeting.
Do the bylaws still say that there has to be 4, or does it matter? I don't know. I'm asking.
Has to
4 members vote for something to pass.
No, it's a majority is what it says.
So a board of 1 is good enough, or a board of 2, either way, right?
No, there's a minimum. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So there's a minimum quorum of a majority of what a board is.
So the minimum doesn't state how many in our bylaws, doesn't state how many, correct?
I don't believe so. You can reference the bylaws, but I don't think so.
But nothing's changed since it was 4, right?
I don't know what you're referring to. If you can pull it up, be my guest. But
okay.
I guess just circling back to mine. So if because he did something like you said, it was a very breach of contract, black and white. Like that was definitely something that he did. If it were such a unanimous vote, then why did a board member quit? Why wasn't it just a 4? That's a clear cut case.
I can't answer that question. You'll have to ask that board member.
Okay. What are you allowed to? Because I don't know who the board members are. I just met you guys for the first time. So are you allowed to say who it is, or am I not allowed?
The person who resigned, yeah, because all this stuff, there are certain things that we don't record in our board meetings. So last month, the first month that Evan and I were part of the board, that was our first full board meeting. There were a lot of new motions that were passed, one of which was to record all board meetings. There is a specific term that says if there are personnel decisions or compensation related matters, that type of thing, that we won't record. And so there are certain parts of last night's meeting that aren't recorded, but that part is. So you guys will be able to watch the video once it's up on our website. And of course we'll have minutes of the meeting, which is just like a summary of what happened. But
to answer your question, Corbin, it was
to...
Ryan Durrell and Jeff Purdy were longtime board members up until last night.
Yeah.
How long were they board members?
I don't know exactly. I think Jeff had been a board member for maybe 8 or 9 years, and Ryan a little bit longer, 12, 13 maybe.
Were they part of the ones that hired our former DOC?
I don't
know the answer to that question.
I don't believe so, Corbin. They weren't. They came into place while Matt was the DOC.
And you have, in order to be a board member, you currently have to have kids in the club, correct?
Yes.
So do they have kids in the club?
Well, not according to how it was now.
Has 2 children, one of which plays at Alliance, from what I understand, one of which plays at SCSA. Jeff has 1 son that plays at Alliance.
Okay.
Sam, his son Sam had played his whole life up until Alliance at SCSA, for clarity, Corbin.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah, I know this. I know this. The whole conversation isn't easy for anyone on any side. So I appreciate you guys being here. Adam, you as well. Thank you, buddy, for everything you're doing. I just kind of like Carl and Harvard. I just have PTSD from Cutters and Bloomington South Soccer and everything. Boards and even MCCSC where I'm employed. I'm an unarmed police officer because the board voted for it. So it's kind of scary. Like this fall, actually this summer and this fall, we went to Portugal, and then the season that I had this fall with the younger ones and my son there was probably the best season that I've had in my entire coaching career. And I've been coaching for 16 years. And now that this happened, it's just kind of like beating my head against the wall. It's like, where the heck do I go now? Like every club I go to is kind of doing this, and this is new for you guys. So I'm not trying to blame you guys or anything like that. It's nothing like that, but, kind of just to echo what Harvard and them were saying, it's just a very slippery slope. And I know it wasn't an easy decision, and I get that. And, I'm not in your place, so I can't comment on that or anything. Just someone looking in or from the outside in and just coming here. It's scary is what I'm saying. And I've got 2 kids in the club. I've got one in Alliance. He's a 2011, and my younger one's in the academy program. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, as a father, as a parent, I don't know the certainty of Alliance, what we're going to do, where we're going to go. And it's just it's really scary for me as just the coach and the parent.
I know it can be scary, and I can tell you from a board perspective, like I said earlier, we're interested in improvement of the club. We're not interested in tearing down the club. We're not interested in ruining things or kicking things off foot. And I can tell you, in the treasurer's role, I am laser focused on keeping our money stuff very secure and on good footing. And I know that from a board perspective, we all agree that Adam was a fantastic person to jump into this interim DOC role to hopefully put a little bit of that fear and that scary feeling to bed, because there's not a lot of people at the club who don't know who Adam is, and we all know that he'll do a great job with maintaining exactly what you said, people having the best seasons of their lives. Hopefully this spring can be the same thing for you, even better than the fall, and hopefully next fall is even better than the spring.
And to
All right,
piggyback off that, I do want to empathize with we're all triggered by past experiences, right? And I have heard the stories of everything that went down there, and I'm not unempathetic to that. And quite frankly, that's largely one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to have this town hall style forum, because we wanted you guys to see us as people, and hopefully start to rebuild any trust that may have either not existed in the first place or been broken down for whatever reason of, again, I think a lot of it is bringing past experiences into this situation. And while I understand that it's natural to do that, my hope and my ask would be to, we're trying to make it very clear that we're trying to continue this club on an upward path. And we are putting people in place that are extremely trusted in order to do that. And we're trying to do as much due diligence as we possibly can to continue that. And I would just hope that there can, maybe be a little bit of grace with just an inkling of giving us the opportunity to show you that we are in a path of moving forward and upward and working together. And yeah.
I can also tell you, Corbin, that I've only been in the treasurer role for a couple months, but I can tell you that the foundation, financially speaking, just purely financially, of the club is very sound. And so there is no short-term or mid-term or really even long-term threat of any problems with our foundational finances of the club.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And my hope and goal is to continue that on from the fall and to continue this, experience for everyone to be the best that it can be for both the coaches and the players. Parents are going to be parents, but, our goal is development of kids in the love of the game, and to have that, in their hearts as long as it can be. And so, just thankful for the opportunity and appreciate your guys' help in this as we continue to do this. It's not a top-down approach, but can we do this together type of mentality.
And I had said to one of the coaches earlier that my hope is, as this club continues to move forward and upward, that every person here felt like they were a part of that. We want to have discussions. We want to have open forums. We want to join your coaches meetings. We want you to join the board meetings. We want you to come to us anytime you need anything. We want to hear your opinions. We want to hear your thoughts. So give us the chance to show you that.
Just to clarify, we want to join your coaches meetings as a pure spectator.
Yes. Sorry, I meant to clarify that. Yes, just to understand. Yeah. And learn. Thank you for clarifying that.
There's obviously lots of questions to be asked and things like that, including hopefully in the future, if there's an issue with something that is as egregious as being said, that there'll be those questions asked from the proper people too before rash decisions are made. But we appreciate you guys at least taking the opportunity to talk to us, at least from my perspective. But and we hope that those things come to fruition as we move forward, and some of that trust and clarity is received and given as we move forward, because obviously we feel like we're an important part of this club as well. and hope that we continue and hopefully get the respect necessary in terms of decisions moving forward with the soccer side of a soccer club that has grown and become what it is right now because of the people involved. So we hope that that continues.
I will definitely try to do that, Myron. And I know I know when we spoke earlier, we both kind of had the same mindset of, hey, even if we have tough conversations like this one this evening, or certainly the conversation that the board had last night, the overarching theme, and I know Myron, you were dead on this, is the most important part of our club are the kids. And so I know that you, Myron, and in your talks that you were saying you were having with different people who were coming to you, I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate you making sure that everybody was still on the same page of going, hey guys, remember this is at the end of the day about the kids that we're trying to mentor and make into better soccer players. So thanks for that.
I appreciate that, and that's easy in terms of what we do, because we all do that for that. But at the same time, we also know that there's a person that's not here now due to whatever reasons that it is, that made these kids' lives exponentially better out of his own pocket and for reasons that only he knows, some of the things that he did. So I can assure you that right now it's tough for us. We're going to do our job and we'll be professional about it. But the understanding of that love for the kids was shared and probably enhanced by someone who we all obviously consider a friend and helped us. So you need to I hope that you guys understand that moving forward as we talk and we go through these things, how important those things are and why we have the questions, whether you can answer them however you want to or not answer them. These are important things for us because it's something that's important, because these kids are important, and there's somebody who did everything in his power for these kids, and we witnessed it ourselves, and we want to make sure the vision stays that way, because if it's that simple and easy to let someone who's done that much for this club go with that vision in mind, it's a scary process, not only for you, Corbin, as a parent, but for us as people who have spent a lot of time, money, and time away from our families to make sure this vision led by Matt stays the same. So as a board, I can tell you from my perspective, and if anybody has a different opinion, please say it. I sincerely hope that the optics of this and what it looks like isn't what it is, and you guys are exactly what you say you want to do, because it is important to us, because you represent us, we represent you, and more importantly, we all represent every one of those kids that come out and train, play, and work hard for this club wearing that badge, including the Alliance badge. So from my perspective and from my own point of view, my own soapbox, I sincerely hope that we can rely on that as we move forward, because this club deserves that and deserves more than that. And I know we're willing to give it. And we hope that the board is able to support us like they have for the last 10 to 12 years of my time here at this club. Hope that we get the support that we've had before, leading this club to a great spot.
Absolutely. That is understood.
Yeah, and my goal in my heart in this is not to replace or erase what's been done, but just to help to continue that forward and progress what we can progress as well. And not to speak ill of what took place, but just to eyes forward and moving on.
Well, we have no idea what took place, and I think that's part of the issue.
I do want to mention, Myron, I agreed with everything you said, but you did say that it was so simple and easy to get rid of someone. And I can assure you that getting rid of someone, especially someone like Matt, was neither simple nor easy. And you can call me a liar or you can not believe me, but I can tell you from my heart that was not a simple thing, and it was not an easy thing.
I appreciate you saying that, but when you say when there was no conversation had with a man who's done that for this club for those many years, it says differently just to me. So I appreciate that you feel that way, but the optics of no conversation, no information, no back and no even inquiry about the things that are going on for someone so important to this club, this community, and soccer in the state of Indiana says otherwise to me. And I hope that I'm proven wrong, but that's just my own opinion of how I feel in the situation. And again, I hope that that's not the case. And I will gladly hold my hand up and say I'm wrong if I am. But that's how it feels to me and maybe to other people here. But when known that there was no conversation, no information being shared or even talked about, makes it feel a little bit different. And I appreciate it. I'm going to stop taking up you guys' time, but I appreciate you guys' time in putting this together, and hope that everything works out well for us.
Does anybody else have any questions or anything
I
they
guess
want to share?
I kind of have a question. When it comes to, I mean, this is nothing personal. This is me kind of, I guess, gaining my knowledge is what is it like that qualifies like to be able to get onto the board like during that process? Like, is there a certain like standards or things you have to be in order to be able to be voted to that, or how does that work? And then what? I guess I'm kind of wanting more knowledge on that.
Garrett, there's a whole section in the bylaws that you can find online that goes into that, but the basics, and I'll paraphrase because it's a few paragraphs long in the bylaws, and I'm sure I'll miss something, but the basics are there's elections every year. They're usually towards the end of the year. This one was for a couple of weeks in early November. And to be eligible to run for the board, you have to have a child playing at the club.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I believe there is something in the bylaws that says that you can't be there's something about you can't be a paid coach, I think, in the bylaws.
Okay. But I was wondering, I don't know. I've been, this is, it's new to me as well I've been with the SCSA I played there and stuff, and this is the first time I've also seen that two family members are on the board at the same time. Nothing like, I just was curious. I didn't know, I was kind of shocked by that. I thought didn't know that was what it was, but having a child in it. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and then they're elected. They run and they're elected by the members.
Okay.
I know earlier when you guys were answering Corbett's questions, I'm also super new to the club. I've only been here for like 2 months. You guys stated that the one board member wasn't eligible, but it seemed like they both had kids in the club. So are we allowed to know why he wasn't eligible at all, or?
Yes.
Yeah, that's on video, so it'll be posted, but
Yep.
I don't know if you want to take that or.
I'm fine. I'm fine to tell you. And again, you can go back and review it, but the SCSA bylaws clearly state that you have to be in order to be a member, you have to have a child playing at SCSA. And one of the board members had a child playing at Alliance, which is not the same 501(c) as SCSA.
Was SCSA his home club or was Cutters?
So
The home club distinction, I think, is a distinction that Alliance makes in their bylaws, but there's no mention of home club or Alliance in the SCSA bylaws.
Okay, I guess that part just confused me a bit because I know I was a DOC for a club by Evansville, and I know one thing when we had our DOC meeting, he brought up like Alliance and like the Alliance thing and how they were able to club pass players because they were actually affiliated with their home club and not with like Alliance. So maybe it's changed since that's happened, but I wasn't sure. So I wasn't sure if you guys might have that answer or not, or.
I don't have a specific answer to that. I don't know if Adam has any more knowledge on that or not, but I don't have a specific answer for that now.
Yeah, we kind of just went through something similar like that because my son was on the trap team this last fall, my older son. So he was on Alliance in the spring and trap team in the fall. The trap team was an SCSA team though. So we're originally from Cutters, that's his home team. But for the trap team, we became SCSA. So my son was just a part of SCSA for the trap team. So were all the other Bloomington kids that came down, and then they're back on Alliance again for the spring. So there is some confusion there of, are we SCSA? Are we Cutters? And then, the whole principle of Alliance originally was Columbus, SCSA, and Cutters all came together for the 7-man rule so that more kids could play on teams, because kids were just getting cut because of all the best players were on those teams in the 7-man rule. So Alliance made it a place for us to go a higher level, but also for those bottom kids to come in so we can have more kids playing. And it's really going to be unfortunate if we do dissolve it, which you guys haven't said we are, or you just will reevaluate it. But if we do dissolve that, it's going to divide what's already being divided even more. And a lot of kids are going to miss out on opportunities. So I think there just needs to be, for mishaps like this for the future, there just needs to be a lot more clarity of what Alliance is, who runs Alliance, and going back to like the home stuff like that, because it kind of sounds like a technicality happened with that, which, I mean, if it's legal, it's legal. I'm a cop, so I deal in the world of facts and everything. So if it's there, it's there. But we also don't know exactly what Alliance is either right now.
I can fully understand, and I agree that we need a lot more clarification.
Anybody else?
Hey guys, are there going to be more board members appointed? Is the plan to remain 3? Will there be votes, or will that be appointed by the board? Just wondering how that works out.
Yeah, so the bylaws state that any open positions between elections will be appointed. So that's an immediate action item for us as well, to have that all done before the next board meeting so that we can have full 5 seats in place for the next board meeting.
Thanks.
And will the board member or the board meetings be posted for people to know when and where they can attend those, just so if coaches are wanting to sit in or whatever, that's going to be made known, right?
Yeah, so yeah, all the there's on the website, there is a link that shows the dates of the board meetings.
Okay.
We try to pre-plan them as much as possible, but I'm sure you can imagine with 5 people and directors who are coaching and have kids playing and full-time jobs, sometimes it's hard to not have to make a shift in those dates. So one of the other focuses for sure is to have better, clearer communication on the board meeting times, especially, with trying to, I mean, we've always encouraged attendance to the board meetings, but, we're hoping that attendance increases. And so, with date changes, we're hoping to be more thorough in the communications. We haven't nailed down exactly what that's going to look like, but the dates will be communicated. The locations are always at the club, but dates and times will be clearly communicated. Yeah. And in the nature of that, as I said, we do have a scheduled meeting for January. I don't know if it's on the website yet, but there is a chance that date will have to be moved. So if you are looking at January, just be aware of that, and we'll send out final notification when we know what that date will be.
Sorry, this is Luis. I heard you guys saying the bylaws in the website.
Yeah.
Is public for everybody to see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
It looks like Joe shared them in the chat. If anybody wants to quickly be able to access that link. Thank you, Joe. Anybody else? All right, well, quick reminder, obviously there's multiples of these, but we did record these meetings. So if anybody would like a copy of the recording of the meetings, I don't know where they're housed because I know Adam initiated the recordings of his. I don't know who initiated the recording of the first piece. So if anybody just wants copies, or if anybody knows someone who missed the meeting that would like, just have them reach out to us and we'll get them sent. All right, if nobody else has anything, thank you guys again for your time. Thank you for your flexibility with the multiple meeting links. I'm glad that we could continue it and onward, upward, and we're really looking forward to working with all of you. And again, extremely excited about Adam in this role and have no doubt that it will be a wonderful transition.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.